Okay, so update tier 16 and running my Decay build. I am running about the identical gear that I had last video, which was tier 10, I want to say. Um, there's been one major upgrade, which is I have a glove enchant, which is the one that creates like a clone of you. Because we scale so much duration, it does mean that on occasion there's multiple clones running around at once. Um, we finished our lab. Uber lab was a joke. And instead of doing the normal stuff, screw it. We're gonna do a little bit of fun times with doing a map showcase first. This is tier 16. I'm still using the same ones I was using before. I'm not really doing much. I'm not investing in this build anymore, really, because it doesn't need it. Right? I'm not feeling like, hey, I really need more, whatever, damage, life. That was a close call. That wasn't even the box. There are a lot of things I haven't done. Like I have empty mod slots on my rings and gear. My chest is dirt cheap. I have lots of items that are truly embarrassing for being where I'm at. I'm not immune to freeze, as was rather apparent over there. Uh, so probably gonna have to slow down a little bit. Let the delirium expire. Ooh. A fractured eye jewel. Oh yeah, we need the delirium to expire. Alright, so even when frozen, we have so much recovery that we will still win those fights. Which is ludicrous in a way. So our build, the package that we have for actually doing our damage, I should actually turn on my damage, that's a good idea, is very tight, which allows me to have just a very convenient amount of defenses I can slot in. My gear setup is super easy. Like as you can see, I definitely don't do the most damage. There's definitely a amount of tankiness that it doesn't deal with very well, but getting the damage uptime is super feasible. I don't have control over who shows up on my maps and stuff. You know, Chris Wilson take the wheel is kind of my Atlas strategy. I don't use scarabs. I took the note that I can't have scarabs. You guys go have fun there. I on occasion am now using all my buttons. I am using a... Are you dead yet? There we go. Einhar sometimes takes a sweet time. I don't have a lot of nice to haves, but my prediction that I had of like, hey, I really need to work on this build before it's like red map ready. Wow, was I wrong. Because I am just blowing things up. Like even beasts, granted these are just yellow beasts, but they're relatively tanky versions of yellow beasts, are relatively easy to deal with. Exiles, also easy to deal with. And yeah, this is, you know, most of my builds I use weird gear, meaning it's very difficult to craft gear, but it's not gear that people value. Whereas on this build, the weird gear I'm using is I don't have an arc ready. This could be bad. Fractured convoking wands with more chaos over time multiplier, which is, if it was on a different wand base, be really expensive. Because of the wand base I'm using, it's not very expensive at all, and it allows me to I have all of those already. Pick those up relatively cheap. I have one that's I'm not even using. It has a tier 1 perfect rolled fractured. Cost me 10 chaos. Yeah, that is kind of insane. But the ones I'm using are tier 2 fractured mods. They're like 2 chaos. You can craft these wands relatively easily. They're just minion damage, chaos damage over time multiplier, and then very importantly the Decay mod. And the Decay mod, what that allows you to do is it inflicts decay whenever you hit. We are using Val Arc. Val Arc is a Mark of the Triumvirate, I believe is the ring called. It is the Atziri unique drop. The only real roll we care about is 150% more damage. So it gives Val Arc a very cheap equivalent to 5-link, and with that mod of having a more damage, chaos damage over time, not more chaos damage over time, the chaos damage over time from Decay, that allows us to create effectively a 6-link for Val Arc. And it works really well. Scaling Decay is very difficult, and we have a very easy time of scaling Decay with this build. Now, I don't know this map layout. This is my first time running this map, so I'm just now getting into tier 16s. I've skipped a few tiers along the way. Do I want to deal with this? Extra projectiles, bleeds, crits. Yeah, I don't care. Whew. Maybe I do care. Wasn't bad. So this glove mod I have from lab that just spawns a copy of me. Oh my god, that the defensive capabilities of that and the number of deaths that's prevented is absolutely bonkers. And this build, this showcase, really isn't to say like, oh my god, this build is the best thing ever. This build is to showcase, oh my god, this build just works on trash. This is a completely solo self-found viable league start viable Decay build. I can't kill that thing. That red beast is this is his map now. Alright, so that was a one shot. So a couple things to note. One, the boss is still ticking down. So I did about a quarter of its damage, thereabouts, in that. And now we know that we have to be a little more careful there. I honestly didn't remember which boss was on this map. If I remembered where the boss was located, then I would have put up a portal because I knew that this was likely. Alright, let me put up my auras because that's good. Our life goes down drastically when you're just running around and your life flask isn't ticking up. And sometimes that's because every time we cast, we sacrifice a decent chunk of our life. Oh god, that red beast is on the way there, isn't it? Oh, this is gonna be awesome. So the red beast has enough regen that I can't really kill it. But I have enough movement speed that I don't care about the red beast. Alright, so we trained the red beast out of the way. More flash charges would have been awesome. Flash charges. I pre-fired my Vol Arc there. It was too early, I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, so the boss will show up again in a second. There it is, the boss. Anyway, let me create some skeletons, which are nice because they do quite a bit of damage. And that was the boss. So one of the benefits with this build is that your decays last for so long that it really doesn't matter. So we're gonna ignore that red beast. Let's talk about the actual gear. We are using, oh, let me turn off the title. We are using a Maelstrom Kai. I mean, name doesn't matter, right? It has a Fracture 31 chaos damage over time multiplier. This costs you 5C. If you want a 38%, it costs you 10C. Some people think it's worth divines, but just wait a bit and you can pick them up for 10C. And this has a minion essence applied to it. This is a 4 mod item because we care about the chaos damage over time multiplier, we care about the fire resistance, the minion damage, and the cold resistance. This is another wand, also convoking wand, 31% chaos damage over time multiplier, again, dirt cheap. We apply the essence on it to get the 700 damage over 8 seconds decay, 700 damage per second for 8 seconds decay. Then we apply a minion wand to it. Minion damage that we rolled on it of 23%, which is pretty low. Right, you can do better than this. And then I have 25% fire resistance. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mod item. But realistically speaking, it's like a 4 mod item, considering that that minion damage roll is really bad. We are using Honor Home, which makes all of our spells free. It's a pretty big deal for Stormburst. Our Stormburst without that costs us 6 mana to cast, and without Honor Home it is 10 mana, and since there's a channel spell, that adds up pretty quickly, but free is pretty good. Divine Blessing plus Malevolence. When all your stuff is free, let me turn on my flask. This is free too. So here we go. Normally this would cost you half your mana plus a bit, so that's 600 mana-ish, probably 800 mana, but in our case it's free because that's how we spec it. Do you need that? No. The only thing that you need from the damage perspective is you need this wand, and the Triumphant Authority with 150% more damage. That is the damage package of this build. Everything else is kind of how you apply it. It's defenses or dealing with, you know, the mana issues, because I want to run a level 20 Stormburst. Do you need a level 20 Stormburst? No, you can use level 1 Stormburst. It does almost the same amount of damage because that's the way that Stormburst combined with Decay scales. So we have Stormburst. The important part of Stormburst is that last line. Exploding orbs deal 75% of skill damage for each 0.4 seconds remaining of duration. Now, let me turn on Decay. Our duration is 4.76 seconds. So if an orb has like 4.4 seconds left, that is 11 times 750%. That is 825% of damage. This is almost an X, well, it's an X8 multiplier, thereabouts. So that's huge setup. That's why increased duration is probably your best support. Could have, whatever. Level 21 Decay is worth it. If you don't have a level 21 Decay and you have the Decay mod, you might not even need to link Decay. You can probably just run it just straight on the mod and just put a more damage multiplier in here. You can probably get another 20% more damage multiplier in here. Efficacy, another great support. Infused channeling is not good. It's a 24% more damage multiplier and it has some other neat stuff, but it's a 24% more damage multiplier. Void manipulation is a 33% more damage multiplier. That's the only thing that they do. I'm using Demon Stitcher gloves because it has cast speed, energy shield, and life. We don't really use anything specific related to that. That's really its main purpose. The sacrifice 8% of life to gain that much energy shield when you cast a spell. That only triggers when you start channeling. Boots, movement speed, some resists, some life. 75 life is pretty nice. Effective 35% movement speed. It's pretty good. A total of 40 resistances. It's not great, but whatever. Life, 59%, 59 life. 68% resists. Yeah, flash duration. Flash duration is nice though. Makes it much more convenient to play. Some strength. Probably should craft some life. Total of 55% resistances. Again, this could be much better. And our chest is a 6 link with an essence thrown on it, which is 99 life, some mana, some int, and 41 resistances. So a lot of this gear is not great. Our defensive package, we are using Sorrow of the Divine combined with I believe it's a sapping mod. So sapping allows you to use a flask even while at full life. It has increased life recovery, but removes 10% of life recovered from mana when used. Because we don't spend our mana, whatever, that's free. So this combined with Sorrow of the Divine means we have a lot of recovery on life and on energy shield, and we have a 5.7k total pool for life and energy shield. Now from our ascendancy, we cut half of our recovery away, so we have the enduring effect on our life flasks, but then Sorrow of the Divine doubles it, so it's pretty good. We have 25% reduced mana cost of skills. This is important to get to 100% reduced mana cost of skills. We're at 105 actually, so we can trim a bit. Cast speed, avoid stuns. I'm not stun immune, I'm not ailment immune. Like, we saw me be frozen for a while there. You know. This has 7% reduced mana cost of skills. And this one actually has some decent resist. This is an item I bought. It has no life? No life. Yeah, okay, so it's not that amazing. It has 2 resist rolls that are okay, and a 7% reduced mana cost of skills, and some energy shield. So, well, a bad base too. So yeah, this is not amazing gear, and it's fine doing tier 16 maps. Yep, I died. I got one shot, but that's with distraction of recording and everything else. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. And it doesn't really make sense to really invest much more in this. Right? Like, yes, I could change this. I have some wands laying around. This one has a 38 chaos damage over time multiplier. It's pretty good. Cost me 10C. This one has a fractured 700 chaos damage per second for 8 seconds. I think these come out of ROG. I've been trying to figure out what is injecting these items in the economy. I think this is these things come out of a ROG. Also cheap, like 10-15C thereabouts. Nothing on this build really costs much. Let's take a few minutes on the passive tree. We have life, withered, 10% more damage, energy shield, take it or leave it. Damage over time multiplier, skill effect duration, ailments, increased duration of ailments on enemies. We don't do ailments. Withered is not an ailment. Skill effect duration is awesome though. Spiritual aid. This is what allows us to take minion damage and scale it to, hurt things more. Purity of flesh, life, chaos resist. Quick recovery is effectively just a life wheel, right? Just 3-5% life nodes with a little bit of regen. Because mana recovery doesn't matter, most of the time we don't spend mana anyway. Enduring Bond has skill effect duration, minion damage. Jewels are reduced mana cost of skills. Cast speed. If your skills are free, cast speed is pretty good. We are using reduced mana cost of skills as a notable, and let me move that a little bit. Reduced mana cost of skills as a mastery, and then reduced mana cost of skills over here. This is what allows us to get low enough. Increased skill effect duration, more skill effect duration, increased skill effect duration, reduced elemental ailment duration. It just helps a little bit, being frozen is annoying. Life, energy shield, not a jewel for reduced mana cost. And then over here, increased damage over time, skill effect duration, life, cast speed, chaos damage over time multiplier, chaos resistance. It's kind of nice. We don't have max chaos resistance. It's like still, what is it? -35. But it's fine. Like, I don't really feel like I'm squishy. Charisma, 8% increased damage for each aura affecting you. That is 4 auras total. So is this an amazing node? No, but it's fine. Flask charges gained. And that's it. For our Ascendancy, Master Surgeon with a Sapping Flask and Sorrow of the Divine gives you insane recovery. Charges passively is just nice. Withered on hit. One Storm Burst gets fully charged. It takes us about 2 seconds to get to max Wither stacks, and that is allowing for a decent amount of misses from Storm Burst. It goes pretty quick, and once you apply your Wither stacks are lasting a long time. It says 2 seconds. It's more like 6. I think, because miscellaneous, our skill effect duration is a total of 135. So that already makes it 4.6 seconds. And then the expiration rate of the withered stacks also goes down. So that will affect it as well. And because withered is being applied by our Storm Burst, it might be that all of those things affected as well. So I think that once we apply our withers, it just sticks around for a while. So yeah, awesome. 30% increased effect of magic utility flasks, which is mainly for the 25 reduced mana cost of skills during effect. Links, Vortex, Unbound Ailments, increased area of effect, elemental proliferation. This is an amazing defensive link. I love it. Summon Skeletons, Minion Speed, Culling Strike, Maim. This is just to tie down bosses more. And have Culling Strike in there and just have more decoys for the boss to go chase. We've covered the main link, Vitality and Grace. I don't know if Grace is worth it or not. It's fine. We don't have a lot of evasion. Like, this is pure energy shield, 160 evasion, and armor and energy shield. So this is pretty much a solo Grace plus 1500 evasion from a flask. Granted, this is increased because we're a Pathfinder, so it's more like 2000 evasion. So it's fine. Increased duration, blind, and void sphere. I'm not even sure I cast void sphere. Void sphere again is just something. I know I did use it to slow enemies down. Right, so we can slow enemies down with maim. We can slow them down with hindered, and we can slow them down with chill. And that just allows us to have a little distance, and it makes us feel much faster than the enemies we're fighting. Yeah, so pretty much running the same gear I was running at the end of the last video. Please review the last video if you ever consider playing this, because there's a lot of lessons learned in the leveling and things like that. Does it have to be a Pathfinder? No. Like, it's a very tight damage package, right? It's 2 wands and a ring, and you're a 6 link in this case. But you know, 24% more damage is one part of the 6 link, and if you remove this, it's just 24% more damage that you remove. It's not a huge difference. So 5 link viable, absolutely. 21 level gem, again, not necessary. So you can probably 4 link it as long as you have access to the Inflict Decay mod, and still have good enough damage for most red maps. Yeah, this character is pretty much done. There's nothing to solve. It just does stuff well, and it is really comfy against most bosses, because your damage uptime is damn near 100%. Like, as soon as you have, you preload with Storm Burst, 1, 2, done. So yes, at this point there's 26 of these things exploding all the time, and they do it every 0.2 seconds. So they're having a very good time. No idea how some of these skills work. I wonder if it's snapshots. I have no idea why my mana regen is so high. Whatever. So even... Oh, it's just I'm low enough on my mana cost anyway. So yeah, Storm Burst. It says 38,000 DPS. It feels like a lot more, but that's because nothing really calculates decay. If you look at this character in Path of Building, the damage will look awful. That's because the way that you inflict damage is that way. As soon as you see these big pops come, that is what is dealing the massive decay hits. This is just applying Withered on somebody. The Decay hits are pretty bad, but as soon as you let go, now you have the big Decay in there and you're off to the races. We use Despair, we use Void Sphere, and then we have some skeletons. For neatness, Vortex is a pure defensive link, and we have Val Arc to clear legions, expedition nukes, and what's the other thing I used for? Breaches. It's pretty good. Pretty happy with this build. Pretty happy with how it all worked out. I don't really see a need to, invest more into it. It's gonna clear the Atlas. Tier 16s, like, is it feeling amazing in there? No. If I double my damage, I'm sure tier 16s will feel a lot better. If I max out my resistances, like my chaos resistance is still negative 35%. Put on some better gear and everything else. Like, I could invest more, get more damage, have a more powerful character. But from what I enjoy doing in the game, I'm at the point where I'm like, hey, this is good. There's no reason for me to mess with this any further, and I rather find myself a new problem to play around with. And yeah, the damage, uptime, and everything else, this is a pretty good setup.